How does Node.js work? Nodejs is completely event-driven. Basically, the server consists of one thread processing one event after another. A new request coming in is one kind of event. The server starts processing it, and when there is a blocking I/O operation, it does not wait until it completes and instead registers a callback function. The server then immediately starts to process another event, maybe another request. When the I/O operation is finished, that is another kind of event, and the server will process it, that is, continue working on the request, by executing the callback as soon as it has time. Node.js platform does not follow request-response multi-threaded stateless model. It follows single-threaded with event loop model. Node.js processing model mainly based on JavaScript event-based model with JavaScript callback mechanism. Look at the Nodejs architecture on this picture. Single-threaded event loop model processing steps. 1. Client send request to web server. 2. Nodejs. Web server internally maintains a limited thread pool to provide services to the client requests. 3. Nodejs. Web server receives those requests and places them into a queue. It is known as event queue. 4. Node.js web server internally has a component, known as event loop. Why it got this name is that it uses indefinite loop to receive requests and process them. Event loop uses single thread only. It is main heart of Node.js platform processing model. 5. Event loop checks any client request is placed in event queue. If no, then wait for incoming requests for indefinitely. Look at the Nodejs architecture on this picture again. Event loop checks any client request is placed in event queue. 6. If yes, then pick up one client request from event queue. Starts process that client request. If that client request does not requires any blocking I/O operations, then process everything, prepare response and send it back to client. If that client request requires some blocking I/O operations like interacting with database, file system, external services, then it will follow different approach. Checks threads, availability from internal thread pool. Picks up one thread and assign this client request to that thread. That thread is responsible for taking that request, process it, perform blocking I/O operations, prepare response, and send it back to the event loop. Event loop in turn sends that response to the respective client. What are the core modules of Nodejs? Nodejs has a set of core modules that are part of the platform and come with the Nodejs installation. These modules can be loaded into the program by using the require function. Look at the syntax and example below. The following table lists some of the important core modules in Nodejs. Assert provides a set of assertion functions useful for testing. Console provides a simple debugging console. Crypto provides cryptographic functionality. HTTP module includes classes, methods, and events to create Nodejs HTTP server. URL module includes methods for URL resolution and parsing. Query string module includes methods to deal with query string. Path module includes methods to deal with file paths. FS module includes classes, methods, and events to work with file I/O. Util module includes utility functions useful for programmers. What do you understand by Reactor pattern in Nodejs? Reactor pattern is used to avoid the blocking of the input-output operations. It provides us with a handler that is associated with I/O operations. When the I/O requests are to be generated, they get submitted to a demultiplexer, which handles concurrency in avoiding the blocking of the I/O mode, and collects the requests in form of an event and queues those events. There are two ways in which I/O operations are performed. 1. Blocking I/O. Application will make a function call and pause its execution at a point until the data is received. It is called as synchronous. 2. Non-blocking I/O. Application will make a function call, and without waiting for the results it continues its execution. It is called as asynchronous. Look at the Reactor pattern in Nodejs. Reactor pattern comprises of 1. Resources. They are shared by multiple applications for I/O operations, generally slower in executions. 2. Synchronous event demultiplexer/event notifier. This uses event loop for blocking on all resources. When a set of I/O operations completes, the event demultiplexer pushes the new events into the event queue. 3. Event loop and event queue. Event queue queues up the new events that occurred along with its event handler, pair. 4. Request handler application. This is generally the application that provides the handler to be executed for registered events on resources. What are the global objects in Nodejs? Nodejs, global objects, are the objects that are available in all modules. Global objects are built-in objects that are part of the JavaScript and can be used directly in the application without importing any particular module. These objects are modules, functions, strings, and object itself as explained below. 1. Global. It is a global namespace. Defining a variable within this namespace makes it globally accessible. Look at the example below. 2. Process. It is an inbuilt global object that is an instance of event emitter used to get information on current process. It can also be accessed using require explicitly. 3. Console. It is an inbuilt global object used to print to stdout and stder. Look at the example below. 4. Set timeout, clear timeout, set interval, clear interval. The built-in timer functions are globals. Look at the example below. 5. Dir name. It is a string. It specifies the name of the directory that currently contains the code. Look at the example below. 6. File name. It specifies the file name of the code being executed. This is the resolved absolute path of this code file. The value inside a module is the path to that module file. Look at the example below. What is Chrome V8 engine? V8 is a C++-based open-source JavaScript engine developed by Google. It was originally designed for Google Chrome and Chromium-based browsers, such as Brave, in 2008, but it was later utilized to create Nodejs for server-side coding. V8 is the JavaScript engine that is it parses and executes JavaScript code. The DOM and the other web platform APIs, they all make up runtime environment, are provided by the browser. V8 is known to be a JavaScript engine because it takes JavaScript code and executes it while browsing in Chrome. It provides a runtime environment for the execution of JavaScript code. The best part is that the JavaScript engine is completely independent of the browser in which it runs. Why is LIBUV needed in Nodejs? LIBUV is a C library originally written for Nodejs to abstract non-blocking I/O operations. It provides the below features. It allows the CPU and other resources to be used simultaneously while still performing I/O operations, thereby resulting in efficient use of resources and network. It facilitates an event-driven approach wherein I/O and other activities are performed using callback-based notifications. It provides mechanisms to handle file system, DNS, network, child processes, pipes, signal handling, polling, and streaming. It also includes a thread pool for offloading work for some things that can't be done asynchronously at the operating system level. How V8 compiles JavaScript code. Compilation is the process of converting human-readable code to machine code. There are two ways to compile the code. Using an interpreter. The interpreter scans the code line by line and converts it into bytecode. Using a compiler. The compiler scans the entire document and compiles it into highly optimized bytecode. The V8 engine uses both a compiler and an interpreter and follows just-in-time JIT compilation to speed up the execution. JIT compiling works by compiling small portions of code that are just about to be executed. This prevents long compilation time, and the code being compiled is only that which is highly likely to run.